85 minutes. That's how long Senegal controlled this match. 85 minutes of composure, discipline, and a 2-goal lead against Belgium that looked, for most of the night, unbreakable. Then came 5 minutes that undid all of it. By the final whistle, Senegal had gone from leading 2-0 to losing 3-2. A place in the round of 16, a place they had all but secured, was gone. And the moment that decided it wasn't a Belgian midfield masterclass or a Senegalese collapse in open play. It was a penalty, awarded in the second period of extra time, after a VAR review. With the score locked at 2-2, seconds from a shootout. So the question isn't really what happened. Everyone already knows the shape of it. The question is, how does a team that dominant lose a match that decided in the final seconds by a single review on a screen? Let's start with the mechanics, because they matter more than the headlines suggest. The referee was Honduran official Said Martinez. The challenge in question was between Senegal's Lamine Camara and Belgian captain Youri Tielemans. Camara went to clear the ball. Contact followed. VAR stepped in. Martinez pointed to the spot. Tielemans, the same player at the center of the review, stepped up and converted it himself, the goal that eliminated Senegal. On paper, that's just football. Contact in the box, review, decision, consequence. It happens most weekends in most leagues. So why did this one detonate the way it did? Because almost immediately, the review itself became the story. Archivo VAR, a platform that specializes in breaking down refereeing decisions, published its own read on the incident. Its conclusion was blunt. It was Tielemans who extended his foot in front of Camara, causing the contact. The platform went further, arguing the situation did not amount to the clear and obvious error needed to justify the referee reviewing the decision in the first place. That's a different kind of controversy than the ref got it wrong. This is a specialist account, built specifically to analyze officiating with frame-by-frame precision, saying the review shouldn't have happened at all, that VAR intervened when it had no real justification to. And that's the uncomfortable part of this story. VAR exists, in theory, to remove exactly this kind of dispute. It was supposed to be the tool that settles arguments, not the tool that starts them. Here, the technology built for certainty produced the opposite, a contested elimination backed by expert disagreement, not just outrage from the losing side. And the outrage came fast, and it came loud. One fan online called it robbery outright, insisting Belgium didn't deserve to advance through what they described as corruption. Content creator Sneeko went further, calling the match rigged and telling Senegal's players they should walk off the pitch entirely. Others zeroed in on the specific contact, arguing that Camara was simply clearing the ball, and it was Tielemans who moved into him, not the other way around. That's a lot of fury pointed at one decision, on one night. And normally, that's where a story like this ends. A bad call, a viral reaction, a news cycle that fades in 48 hours. But this one didn't stay contained to one match, because for a lot of people watching, this felt familiar. Not in a vague way, in a specific, deliberate way. Spanish journalist Manolo Lama put it sharply, saying Senegal had already had the Africa Cup of Nations taken from them, and now the solidarity around them at the World Cup was being taken too. Egyptian journalist Mohamed Said drew an even more direct line, pointing back to the 2025 AFCON final against Morocco, and suggesting that without a rule change made after that tournament, this exact scene could have played out again. Here's the context that makes that comment land. At the 2025 AFCON final, Senegal was at the center of a different penalty controversy, one so severe it raised the real possibility of the team walking off the pitch entirely. In the host nation, Morocco, it nearly overshadowed the tournament. FIFA and African football's governing bodies took that seriously enough to change the rules around walkouts afterward. So when a nearly identical shape, a late, disputed penalty deciding Senegal's tournament fate showed up again less than a year later, it wasn't read as coincidence. It was read as a pattern. And that's where the story stops being about one match and starts being about something bigger. One fan captured it in a single comparison that's hard to shake. When the penalty in the Morocco final was clear-cut, people rebelled against it, and it damaged African football's reputation, because the tournament was hosted in Morocco. But when an unclear penalty ended Senegal's World Cup, in a tournament hosted across the West, the same energy wasn't there. The silence was different. Whether or not you agree with that framing, it reframes the entire controversy. This isn't just, was the penalty correct? It's a question about whose contested moments get amplified and whose get quietly accepted, depending on where the tournament is being played and who's hosting it. That's the domino this one call knocked over. A single review in the 120th minute in Seattle reopened a wound that football thought it had closed a year earlier in Morocco, which makes what happened next genuinely surprising, because the loudest voices weren't the ones on the pitch. Senegal defender Crépin Diatta didn't talk about the referee. He talked about what his team had been building. He said they were writing the beautiful pages of their football history and that they had to accept they'd failed their mission. Midfielder Habib Diarra went further. He pointed out that a match lasts 90 minutes, not 85, that the strong first half hadn't been enough, and in his own words, the team had only themselves to blame, not the referee, not VAR, not Belgium, themselves. That's the tension this story actually leaves you with. Online, this was framed instantly as theft, a system rigged against Senegal, a decision that should never have stood, a pattern stretching back to Morocco. And there's real evidence behind that read. A specialist review platform backed it. A year-old controversy echoes it. The optics, the timing, the history, none of it is imagined. But the players who actually lost the match didn't reach for that explanation. They reached for accountability instead. Maybe both things are true at once. The call was legitimately questionable, arguably shouldn't have been reviewed at all. And the team it happened to still chose not to hide behind it. That's not a clean ending. It's not supposed to be. But it might be the most honest thing football offered this tournament. A result that looked stolen and a team that refused to say it was.